Hi everybody, so here comes another Q&A. Today's three topics are grilling. Is it safe to grill your food, like outside? When should you take time off out of the gym? The last one that you guys sent in was, volume. I get this all the time. Not volume, sets and reps. Everybody's looking for the perfect sets and reps. So if those things interest you, stay tuned and you'll get my thoughts. All right, hi everybody. So today's Q&A, by the way, thanks for all the feedback on the Q&As. If you like them, we'll keep doing them. So somebody asked me, summer's coming. I got a question from a gentleman and he wanted to know if it's safe to grill your food outside. And it's a legitimate question. It's a good question. I remember when I lived in my first apartment, I had a George Foreman grill, and that's a little different. That's something you put on your food on the inside, you plug it into the wall. But I lived on that thing. And then we moved, we had our first house, I got a grill, and I started seeing all these articles about cancer causing agents and all this stuff, so I started to get a little bit worried about it. And this was around the year 2000, if I remember right. But so I did a little bit of research into it back then and just, I guess, formed some basic opinions. And basically, when you grill, the concern is with these things called HCAs, heterocyclic amines or something like that. And I'm a little rusty on it, but the bottom line was they had caused cancer in lab rats and things like that. So there was concern. And like when you see the charring on your meat, that's what a lot of that byproduct, it's in that char. So when you burn your food, you tend to get more of that. So is it really dangerous? I tend to be a moderation guy. I don't think a burnt grilled burger here and there is going to hurt you. If you did it like every day or every week, maybe you'll have some issues. But so I tend to not be too fearful of stuff as long as you're using moderation. The other thing I would say is it's very preventable. So you can use rubs, and you can use spices like thyme and rosemary. You can put those things on the meat, and it kind of protects you from that. So and another thing you can do is marinate your food. When you marinate it, you really prevent a lot of that burning. So if you're marinating your food, this is really cool too, because you're just making it taste better. So marinating your food, putting some spices on it. And the other thing you can do, and we used to do this, was cook the food about halfway inside before we took it outside and put it on the grill. So it would only be on the grill for a lower amount of time. And then sometimes that fat that comes out of the meat, when you first start cooking, it'll come out. So then when you take the food and you put it on the grill, the fat's not dripping out, creating smoke and all that burning. So that's what you can do to kind of help prevent that if it's a concern to you. One other thing just came to mind, you can trim fat off the meat too, and that'll cut down on the fat drippings and the burning and all that. So, all right, that was one question. The second question was on taking time off, meaning get completely out of the gym. Now, I do like to do that, and I don't only do it for physiological reasons, I do it for psychological reasons. What I used to do was when I competed, I would take a week off out of the gym, and then it became 2 weeks, and then it became 3 weeks. And I did that very strategically because as I got older, I learned to push myself harder and harder and harder, to diet harder and harder. And it became very fatiguing. And after I competed, I just wanted a break. I do things a little differently now. Now what I do after a contest, I'll continue to train for 4 weeks generally because you've got all this extra food and these calories coming in and I want to take advantage of it. And then I'll take a couple weeks off out of the gym. So not all of you compete, and that's cool. So what do you take time, still take time off? Well, I would definitely take a week off every 6 months, completely out of the gym. You may not be getting sore, you may not feel bad, but it's good to give your body a little bit of a break. And sometimes what happens is you get in a rut. You guys probably know what I mean. You're training, and sometimes you're just bored. You don't have that fire. You don't get excited to go to the gym. You're just kind of going through the motions. And a lot of times when you just take a step back, you get out of the gym, that fire will start to come back. You'll miss the gym, and maybe it's a week, maybe it takes 2 weeks, but that fire comes back. and you can't wait to get back in the gym. And then all of a sudden your workouts are more productive. So it's that old analogy, take one step back to take two forward. So it's okay if you want to take a week off out of the gym. You know, I would say, like I said, once every six months. Some people would say every 3 months. I think that's a bit aggressive unless you're just training really, really, really hard. And then I could see that. But so don't be afraid to take a week off every 6 months, at least 2 weeks a year. And when you get out of the gym, when you're taking your time off, get out and have fun. Like, find something that you enjoy, have a good time, go swimming, go to the movies, whatever it is. Whatever it is else that you like to do, do it. You know, again, that hunger to get into the gym will come back, and you'll start having really productive workouts when you get back. Okay, so, excuse me, the last question I got, and I've got this question more than any other question in the last 2 weeks. I keep getting this question: how many sets and reps should I do for a muscle group? This is an incredibly difficult question to answer. There's so many variables. So I'm going to just throw out some basic thoughts for you. Okay, I don't know if the people that you're asking, the people who are asking me this, I don't know if you're beginners, you're intermediates, if you're advanced. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of background so that you can, hopefully you fit somewhere into this. So if you're a beginner, sets and reps, all right, think of it this way: the larger muscle groups are going to need a little bit more work. So maybe for the larger muscle groups like your back and your legs, maybe you want to shoot for something like 10 to 12 sets for a muscle group. Now, the smaller muscle groups, maybe 6 to 8 sets, okay? And you also got to take in consideration frequency. So there's a big difference between doing 10 sets once a week and 10 sets 3 times a week. So if you're a beginner, I would not be doing the body part any more than twice a week. I'd probably be doing something like upper body, lower body, take a day off, then upper body, lower body, and then take a day off. I'd probably be doing something like that. Not a bodybuilder routine, specialized. You don't need that when you're a beginner. So I'd probably be looking at 10 to 12 sets for the larger body parts and 6 to 8 for the smaller body parts, and I would try to hit them twice a week, okay? Now, in terms of repetitions, you don't want to train the same repetition scheme all the time. You know, I like to keep my reps between 6 and 15. If it's more of a basic movement, I stick around that 6 to 8 range. If it's a movement where I'm going more for pump and not so much the weight, then the reps might go from 8 to 15. So stay in that 6 to 15 range. Don't just always do sets of 5 or always do sets of 10. Mix it up. You have different muscle fiber types. You have different ways you can make the muscles grow, so don't do the same thing all the time. Now, if you're an intermediate, now you can add a little bit more volume. You can add a little bit more intensity. I would still keep the rep range the same though. So don't change your rep ranges. There's no need to do more of the heavier stuff or more of the lighter stuff. You still want a good mix. I still think you should probably hit the muscles twice a week. But again, just add a few sets. So that 10 to 12, now maybe that becomes 12 to 15. For the larger muscle groups. That's 6 to 8, now maybe that becomes 8 to 10 for the smaller muscle groups. So you want probably an incremental increase in volume. We know that volume drives hypertrophy without a doubt, and you're getting more advanced. So now you can use a little bit more volume to your advantage, whereas the beginner, they don't need that much volume. As a beginner, I like to see them work with lower volume because it'll do the job, and then they can incrementally add volume as they get more advanced. Now, you can't add volume forever, right? Or you'd be doing 30 sets of body parts. So now when you get to the advanced stage, your first thought might be, okay, well then I add more volume. Not necessarily, because as you get to the advanced stage, now you're going to know about how to push your body harder. So you're going to probably have more sets that are more challenging and more difficult, and you may be bigger, you may be able to tear down the muscle more. So this means you're going to need what? You're going to need more recovery, that's right. You're going to be creating more muscle damage and just more damage in general, really. So with that in mind, you don't necessarily need more volume. You don't necessarily need to change your rep ranges. Now your intensity, your ability to connect with the muscle should be really good. A lot of times the difference between someone who's been training 10 years and looks awesome and someone who's been training 10 years and you really can't tell they lift weights, it's just their ability to connect with the muscle and really make it work. And as you get more advanced, this is why I am completely against people who say beginners should never do isolation work. If you never do isolation work, you can never really truly feel that muscle working on its own. So I think routine should be a combination of compound movements and isolation movements. So anyways, so for those people who are advanced, again, 12 to 15 sets for large body parts, probably like 8 to 10 for smaller body parts, twice a week. If you have a weakness, maybe now you do it 3 times a week, but you scale back on your strengths. That's up to you. But so those are my thoughts just in general. Hopefully that'll give you some kind of fundamental guidelines you can follow. Thanks for watching. If you want me to answer your questions, make sure you leave them below. And if you like this, please share it and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.